Now, there is one more keyword in Python which is finally. So this keyword will execute, and basically this keyword is connected with try and except. You will use this keyword only when you have used try block and try and except mechanism. So this keyword will actually run no matter if there is failure or pass in your try catch mechanism. Let me show you. Cleaning up resources. I would just print one statement here. So now there is failure in your try block, and it would go to except block, right? So even if it goes to except block, this finally will be printed. Let's say there is no failure and block is executed. If there is no failure, obviously this will not get executed, because control will come only to accept if there is failure in try. Okay, but no matter if there is a failure or not in try block, there is one block which is called finally, where it executes every time when you run your test, irrespective of errors you received here. Even if your test stopped here due to various reasons, it will still look for finally keyword and make sure that is getting executed. Okay, if you have now 29 lines of code and your script somehow failed at 16th line due to various reasons, but don't worry, it before completing execution it will come to the 28th step. It will check wherever finally block is there, and it will make sure that block is getting executed. So if you run this test, you see that cleaning up resources, because there is a failure, still it got printed. Now let's give the actual test name so that it will now not fail at all. Okay, so your code is perfect now. It will nowhere reach exception block because everything is right, but still when you run, you will see cleaning up resources, but no other statements are printed in except block because your control did not go there. So this block is basically used no matter what, it gets printed, and make sure you use this with try and except block. And again, you might get a question, what is the purpose of having finally keyword executing every time? So let's say you are working in one scenario in your automation test where you create the data in the beginning for that particular scenario to test. Okay, so you create a records in the beginning and you test based upon that records. Finally, when your test is completed, you want to delete that records. Okay, you just don't want to put records every time when your test is running. You basically need to clean up all your data what you have created for that test to run. Okay, that's like setup and tear down methods we generally call. So here cleaning up records. Let's assume that you create records here, you do your execution and you clean up records finally. Somehow due to various reason your test failed in the middle. Okay, so it created records and when it is validating, it somehow got failed. So at that time when test execution stopped abruptly, the last line of code what you write to delete records will not get executed because test failed before reaching that point only. In that way, record will be stored in your web page. Like that, if test keep on failing every time, the junk of data what you created for your automation will be present in application without properly cleaning. Okay, you can still tell that I have written a code which will help to clean my data, but your test is not reaching that point. It's failing before only. As it is failing before, it's not getting deleted. But when you use finally block, no matter where your test failed, it will make sure that it reaches this final block and it executes this block. So in this block, you can write the code to delete your records or clean up your data or delete your cookies. Okay, to start again next test, you have a requirement to delete all the cookies because this test have an impact of storing the data and another test may get affected. So what you want to do? You want to delete all the cookies. Okay, even test failed in the middle. Before reaching the next test, you have to make sure you have to clean up your cookies. So whenever you have these kind of requirements, make sure you put them in finally block, and that will take care wherever your test fail or pass. So that's the importance of finally block, and that's how you can work with try and except block. And if you want to print customized message, you need not worry about catching exception. But if you want to get an error message of what try thrown, use exception as E. And these are the ways to fail your test. So these are the ways to make sure your test is not failed and to catch exception. And these two what we discussed in the last lecture is to fail when condition is not met. So all belongs to exception family. Okay, I hope you got enough knowledge on this. Alright, thank you.